Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. So today it's Friday, Fake Guru Friday. This is something I started up a while back, but it kind of sat on the shelf for a while, but it's back. So didn't give anybody any notice out there, but appreciate you participating if you can. This video caught my eye. The title, Kris Krohn. A lot of you know I'm not a big fan of Kris Krohn. I don't think he's really a good investor. I don't think he can mentor. Even he says when he does a video on mentoring, he'll tell you that, dude, does that mean you're going to call me up? No, my phone would blow up, in his own words. So he tries to sell himself as a mentor, but he's a mentor that doesn't mentor. You can look at the video I did on him on that before. But the basic thing is there's a lot of people out there that claim to have expertise they do not have. And for somebody like myself that actually does have this expertise, I've been doing this for 42 years, made tens of millions of dollars, and I show you how I made it. And so we're going to get into that. I'm going to show you what to look for in a fake guru, how to spot one a mile away. A lot of you don't know that. A lot of people that call me up to get into my mentorship. I have a mentorship. We'll talk about that later. Anyways, I'm glad you're here, and we'll be back in a minute. And if there's any issue with audio or anything else, please let me know.
And listen, time is on a mission to eliminate all the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. He'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, so don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything. USA, go.
All right. So, hey, thanks for being here. Look, if you just got here, my name's Tom McKay. I've been buying and selling real estate for 42 years. I've been mentoring people. I've got a book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. Be sure to get a copy on Audible, Amazon, and or Kindle. I promise it'll be the best 10 or 20 bucks you've ever spent. That's for sure. In fact, if you're dissatisfied, I'll buy it back from you myself, no problem. Anyways, so today we're going to talk about, we're going to watch this video of Kris Krohn's. Yeah, it's don't buy a house anytime soon. And I'm going to tell you, of course, that's terrible advice also. Listen, that's a retail buyer talk. And this is what's very, if you know what you're doing, like if you guys might be a software specialist or maybe you're good at whatever you're good at, you know when somebody that claims to have your experience starts talking, you realize quickly how little they know. And even this is very telling. He's a retail buyer. When somebody says don't buy a house anytime soon, it's because they just don't know how to buy a house right. There is no bad real estate. There's just bad deals. You don't make a bad deal, you'll get rich if you just keep repeating the same fundamentals, and that's what I teach. I kind of give you the fundamentals, do that stuff. So anyways, this is Fake Guru Friday, and if you just got here, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It helps the channel, and I would appreciate it, and I will promise you I'll always be honest with you. I have people call me every day, and I, if they don't have any money, that's another thing. I forgot to put that on the list, by the way. Ryan, remind me to put that on the list. If you don't have any money, a fake guru will take your money. They'll tell you, go borrow it from your mom, do whatever you can to get in the class, and we're going to cover some of that stuff. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to watch this video, and I will share my commentary as we go along. And then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some key points here on the whiteboard. You'll see it here, up there in the corner. And maybe I'll just leave that up while we're doing this. So let's go ahead and let's watch this.
These houses behind me, these houses are selling for over $300,000. This is like the least expensive neighborhood in my backyard here in Utah. These prices are crazy. And you know what? People have been asking me this whole last year, Kris, should I buy a house? Should I buy a house? And you know what? It's official. You should not buy a house right now. And yet there is something very different that you should be doing in real estate.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go!
So this is typical Kris Krohn stuff. Is usually he walks in and he'll make some sort of catchy statement, catchy to some, not to me. But and then what he'll do is he'll go inside and he'll start to point to a series of articles that really have nothing to do with making money. You know, there may be articles about the economy or something about money, and then he tries to tie that into eventually go to the links below, and what happens after that, go to the links below, and we're going to get into that, is eventually you'll find yourself talking to one of Kris Krohn's salesmen, and my opinion, is basically they're trying to determine if you have 1 to 5,000, and or if you own a home, and if you have equity in your home. If you have equity in your home, you will get on a mailing list where the primary target is you can pull the equity out of your home and invest with Kris. The alternative to that is you can buy a course, and anywhere from $997 is like the entry level, somewhere in there, up to $5,000. And I've heard a fair amount of complaints from people that have gotten involved with that. And people wonder why I don't collaborate. One of the reasons I don't collaborate with people is, like CoffeeZilla would tell you, there's just so many fake people, and nobody wants to get up on a stage with me because I'm not here. A lot of the YouTubers out there, you guys are the food, you are the money, and but not for me. I made my money in real estate, and I'm not going to compromise my values to take your money. I don't need it. It's just not that important to me. So let's watch this video a little bit. Listen. There's no bad real estate. There's just bad deals. I'm telling you, I bought property every year the last 42 years. Some a lot in years, others not much. But the bottom line is, I bought one about 3 weeks ago. I'm 3 weeks into a house. I bought. He's talking about this neighborhood. I just bought a neighborhood where the average price is about $400,000. I bought one for $225,000. I expect to make $100,000 on that, and I just bought that. And by the way, one of my students also bought one that he'll make over $100,000, and we'll do a video on that. In fact, I'm going to interview him here. I was supposed to do it today, but I got several students here just recently that have bought properties and made substantial amounts of money. And this is what a fake guru doesn't do. Fake guru doesn't demonstrate that they know what they're doing. So let's watch this video, and then I'll show you things to look out for.
Man, this conversation of should you buy real estate right now, it is such a hot topic. I mean, during those 2 years post-pandemic, we saw the price in real estate go up 40%. It's nuts. I got a family member that just had a 4th kid, and they're living in a 2-bedroom home. And you know what? Check this out. Does this look like the most desirable home piece of real estate someone would want? It doesn't. And yet there's a lot of people.
You know what? That's kind of insulting. You know what he just said? He says, does this look like the most desirable kind of piece of real estate somebody would live in? I mean, take a look at this. Let's take a look.
Real estate someone would want? It doesn't.
Okay, you know what? That is a joke. Look at that. Look at that. Look what's behind. Look at the view you got there. You got beautiful snow-capped mountains. This person's home that he just insulted. You know what? They got a place to chill on the back patio, have a barbecue. I see some toys in the back for kids to play with. That looks like a fine home, Kris. That actually looks like a really nice, decent home, okay? Except I'd probably raise the fence so I wouldn't have to see your mug, okay?
And yet there's a lot of people that can't afford real estate. So this is the kind of stuff that they're looking at. It is a really frustrating thing for a ton of people. So
yeah, look at that. Kids, there's a little tree house, or I should say a playscape. That looks pretty good to me, Kris.
So most people are on hold. They think that it's a bad timing in the market. They think, well, the market's going to crash anyway. I should wait for it to recapitulate. But check it out. This is the hardest part. What if the market is not going to crash? What if these prices are here to stay? Then how do you ever get a home? Well, check this out. I'm basically coming.
You don't invest with a fake guru, that's for sure. But let's see, now he's going to the board, which he'll probably pull up some articles and stuff. Let's just watch.
Now, this is my first time saying that you should be buying real estate right now. A house is bad news for you. Think about why for just a moment. The prices have gone up out of hand, and we have the rates that have gone up, and it's almost like it's tripled the cost of a mortgage of owning, because part of that mortgage has gone up because the value has gone up, and part of it because the interest rates. And right now, this means that it's an awful time to own real estate. unless you're on the other side of the fence providing housing to all the people that still need a place to live.
Okay, so this sounds like he's setting up for you to invest with him to buy a property to rent to somebody else. So now you're not really buying a home, you're buying a rental. I think I know where this is going.
The renters. 39% of Americans have skipped meals just to make their housing payment, and 61% say that their financial situation is a stress point in their life, and 62%, as it just came out, literally are living paycheck to paycheck.
Now, see, this is what I'm saying. He points to an article, but do you think that the people that are scraping to make that house payment might also be scraping to pay a rental, to pay the rent? Pretty much relevant.
That raises the question, what can people do to solve this problem? Now, this comes from Market Watch, but it's on everybody's mind. And if you're waiting for the government to solve it, if you're waiting for them to lower rates, which will, by the way, make real estate more affordable, or if you're waiting for a crash, you might find yourself waiting for a really long time, and yet your most valuable asset is time. You don't want to waste it. There is most certainly something you should be doing right now.
Yeah, you shouldn't be in a hurry. I can tell you right there. This is one of the things that gets people in trouble more than anything, is they decide, oh, I'm going to start investing in real estate. They jump into a class, jump into a course. Sometimes they get mentored by a student that doesn't know what they're doing. And then that person ends up encouraging another to buy a property that I would have told them, don't buy it. Listen, it doesn't matter. If you pay too much for a property, good times or bad times, it's a mistake. If you pay more than it's worth, you're going to get stuck. And I have a thing I teach all my students. It's like a walking mantra. If you've ever, if you've ever been a meditator, you'd know that you have a mantra, and it's like a word or a sound. Anyways, my walking mantra is easy to do, hard to undo, and that should be everybody's, by the way. Let's keep watching.
Now, for today, I've got some very strong opinions. And if you haven't met me before, or if you're not a subscriber on my channel, my name is Kris Krohn, and I've done over $2 billion worth of real estate transactions, over 6,500 single-family projects.
Yeah, and from what I gather, most of those deals are stuff that he bought with students or with other people's money. Now, that's his key to success, is getting other people's money. That's why if you get on, in fact, do it. Go get on Kris Krohn's email list. If you want to call him, if you want to give up your phone number, you can do that too. But I guarantee you'll get an earful, and you'll get a mailbox full. I constantly want to know if you got equity in your home. Do you have equity in your home? You got equity in your home? Use that equity. So you can pull the equity out of your home, buy a property with Kris. And right now, my guess is he's probably has to pull more than one investor. As a retail investor buying at low interest rates, you could put 25% down, buy a retail property. For him, it's easy. He just sits on it for 10 years or 15 years, and he can split the profit with you. But you could have bought it without him. That's what people don't realize. You don't need somebody else to buy it. You need to buy it for yourself. You get to keep all the profit that way. Think about this. Students come to me and they'll say, hey, I can get this house. It's a good deal, but I got to get a hard money lender, and it's 10% interest. Well, that's a lot, but maybe they're a risky person to loan money to. If there's $100,000 to be made on, say, a $200,000 or $300,000 property, of course, pay the 10% interest. It's peanuts. If you go get a partner, that's like a 50% interest, okay? In other words, they're going to take half your money. They're going to take half your money. So, of course, it's about buying property right. And by the way, listen, if you just got here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, but also I want you to take a moment to look at this, because this is key. I want you to look at my website. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. I'll show it to you real quick here. Hit subscribe, and then you'll know. That's the main thing. Just hit subscribe. You can find me later on. But I have a webinar I do weekly. I have a mentoring survey you can fill out. And it's not so I can figure out how much money I can pick out of your pocket or find out how much money you have equity. I don't care about the equity of your home. I care that you have money to invest. You can't get in my mentorship, by the way. You can't. I won't mentor you if you haven't saved some money, if you don't have some money. And that's not so that I can have access to your money, because I have no use for your money, believe me. I mean, I get paid as a mentor, of course, but it's a job for me. But I only take people that can afford to invest. You have to have a little money. If you can't afford to invest, you know what? I say go get a skill, go figure it out and make some money. You need to figure out how to make some money. It's a discipline to make and save money. You do that, get that figured out, and then you may be like these guys. I've got people. These are all these videos you see right behind me, and this is worthwhile to see. Are people that have made. This is when Ken made $600,000. He's made another $800,000 since. Rich here, he's made over $1.3 million. Made $800,000 cash on one deal. 150 on another, 250 on another, and he rolled that into properties like I like to buy, which are industrial commercial properties, and now he's reaping the rewards with a very nice income. Anyways, let's get back to the video.
And when I got started in real estate, I literally was making this is $20,000. I was making less than $20,000 a year. What you're seeing here represented is actually $500,000 a year. And the year after I quit my job, this is the income that I stepped into. And real estate was the vehicle. Now, it's interesting that my very first house felt as small as this little toy house does right here, because it was a tiny little bungalow, had a basement apartment. And at the time, my buddy bought a pretty nice house on the hill, and I could have barely afforded it. But instead, I bought this little bungalow because I thought, you know what? Now is not the time for me to get the house of my dreams. Now is the time for me to get ahead. I had heard that 90% of millionaires did it in the game of real estate. So while I am saying don't buy real estate, I am saying that you should be playing in the real estate game. And here's why. Yeah, so the solution is don't buy a house, at least not yet. But there is something that you should be doing in the meantime. The temptation of overreaching, right? Think about this. Nearly 3/4 of all Americans can't afford the current national median home price, which is $425,000 whopping dollars. While renting is not a great long-term solution, buying a home under these circumstances would stretch the average budget way too thin. Even my mother-in-law, who likes to dabble in the game of real estate, because we've bought a lot together, just last night she said, well, I was looking at this house around the corner. I said, Mom, don't buy a house in Utah right now. I know what you're thinking. This is a house for a family member. And I'm just telling you, if you knew what I knew about the market, you would be thinking more like an investor than a consumer. So let's talk about riding out the wave. American home prices rose over 40% across the country from 2020 to 2022. This was caused largely by people leaving cities like New York City, Bay Area, and LA for spaces offered by the suburbs during the pandemic. It's going to take a serious market correction to get.
So we're having a lot of California flight. We're having a lot of New York flight coming into Texas and Florida and different areas. And it is a bit of a spoiler. Here's the thing. When interest rates were low, it's easy to be a retail buyer. When interest rates are 3.5, 2.6, 2.7, a lot of people got some really great rates. You put 25% down, the mortgage is low enough that you could be a retail buyer and you could rent the property, and the mortgage would be low enough it would cover. And I think that's kind of what Kris looks for. And I think that's been frustrated now, because even if he gets somebody to put up 25%, I don't think it's enough. The interest rates are so high now that it won't cover the mortgage, even with 25% down. I don't know his exact model. I know what some people have told me here and there, but like I said, I don't pretend to know his exact model, but I just know by what comes out of his mouth that he doesn't appear to be a very savvy investor. He's a retail investor, and that's somebody I wouldn't invest with. But let's keep watching.
Prices back down, but that's not going to be felt across the country in all areas. A lot of times people are like, oh, there's a crash, that affects everybody. This is not true. There are some markets that definitely need to correct, and there are others that are going to keep rising and they're going to keep going north. So it's too complicated to say that it's a wave and we're just going to have to wait and see. You're going to lose precious time. In 2008, everyone said, don't invest in real estate. It's the worst thing ever. Don't you remember that crash? I got news for you. I bought up thousands of homes during that crash, and 5 years later, when we ran out of homes and they started going back up in value, I helped my investors clear over $100 million. We are in that type of market right now. Now is a more important time to consider investing in real estate than ever before. But just remember, investing in real estate and buying a home to live in.
Yeah, see, this is one of the things a fake guru too. They won't go into details. I remember watching Grant Cardone, who I consider a fake guru as well, talk about, I just gave my investors a check for $1.2 million, and I gave myself a check for $800,000. Of course, in my mind, oh, that's a 40-60 split. He got 40%, they got 60%. And what did he do for it? And what did they do for it? Well, my understanding is they put up the money, and he just bought a property. I mean, think about this. if you borrow, let's just say you could even borrow money at 4% right now, and you borrowed whatever, 100 grand at 4%, and then you took that 100 grand and you threw it in, with somebody that wants you to invest in a house with them, and they put your 100 grand down. They bought a house for 200,000 or 300,000, and that 100 grand goes in. Well, you're paying 4% on that money, and now maybe that rental's making 8% a year. So the bottom line is you're giving up 4% of whatever you're buying because that's what it costs you to buy it, that's to support it. In other words, sometimes you're spending 4% to make 3% on your money, in that type of situation. But it's because you're splitting the money with somebody else. If you bought the property by yourself, you wouldn't have it. If you're putting up all the money, you don't need a partner. Listen, that's why people seek partners, is they need money. And that's what Kris Krohn does. I see it in the emails all the time. Somebody put me on his email list because it isn't by my name that's on there, but it's constantly, hey, I got a deal, the best way to make money, and you can invest with me, and I know where all this good stuff is. But again, this is a retail investor to me, not a good deal. But let's keep watching, and please comment.
Those are not the two same things. So here's the question: should you be waiting with purpose, or should your purpose be to not wait and do something different? Waiting for a market correction to buy your ideal home does not mean you have to sit back idly. In fact, I think right now, specifically, you should be investing in real estate. If you have money sitting in a 401k, if you have money in an IRA.
Okay, here we go. So already this is just the opposite of what brought you in here, right?
If you have equity in a home, and you're like, but Kris, our next move as a family is to buy that next home that we're going to live in. No, you're going to be waiting a long time. And then what happens if that market corrects more than you, and you're underwater? Or what happens if you buy at high interest rates and then for some reason can't refinance when interest rates come back down? That could affect your mortgage payment by like $500 or $2,000.
So it's a bad idea if you want to do it without him, but it's a good idea if you want to invest it with him, even though he's subject to the same interest rates you're talking about and buying the same kind of property.
Like, that's a really, really huge commitment to make. Meanwhile, there are super affordable real estate markets right now. My average purchase price is between $200,000 and $270,000. These homes are giving me huge returns.
So he's going to be buying the kind of homes that you just saw him walk by that nobody wants to live in, right? He said, these are $300,000 homes. Does this look like a place you'd like to live? You know what I mean? Assuming that the person there may be a renter. It really is, to me, it's insulting. But let's keep watching.
As in, the sniff check, the rule of 72, my money is doubling every 2
Yeah, this doesn't pass the smell test.
to 3 years. So while you're waiting, imagine what would happen if your money was doubling or tripling. Well, that puts you in a position when the market corrects for you to be able to buy that ideal home, but more importantly, awake a financial beast within you. Like, start a portfolio, do something, create a legacy for your family.
I agree with that, but do it on your own. Listen, last thing you need to do is take your hard-earned money and invest with somebody and then split the profits, right? I mean, at best you should do that on a if somebody brings you something and they say, hey, look, there's $500,000 to be made here. If you can put up 100 grand, we'll each make 250. That makes sense. That makes sense. But if it's simply come in with me, and I'm going to buy a $270,000 home. We're going to rent it out, and then in 15 years, when the mortgage is paid down, we're going to sell it, and we're going to split the equity. Okay, not a good deal for you. Not a good deal for you. And I don't even exactly know what he proposes, but I've seen enough of the emails that have come to me. That's what he's vying for, is trying to get angling for that money. And we'll be right back. You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, FlipAnythingUSA.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face-to-face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years. Yeah, so that's probably the biggest difference between me and most of the people that you find here on YouTube, is that I don't I'm not looking for a fund. I'm not looking for you to invest in me on a one-on-one with individual partnerships. I just want to give you the tools to make money on your own. You know, when I wrote my book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, it was really to make a path for my kids to follow. I have 4 kids, and 2 just got through college, and the other 2 are, getting to that age. They could either go to college or they might start their own business or follow my footsteps. Who knows? But my son right now, who just invested in a house with me. He got interested. He found his first house, and we're going to be splitting them at least $100,000, and that makes sense, right? Listen, getting what somebody has and what somebody wants, that's where the money is getting in between those 2 things. So let's keep watching. We'll finish this up.
This recession, it's not down and out. It's the opposite. It is the uptake. This is the opportunity for you to build the financial future of your dreams. I've got people all over the world that partner with me and buy my next several thousand homes. And could you be one of them? Well, if it's not time for you to buy a house for you and your family right now, consider investing in real estate where it's actually making you money. So instead of, I'm going to consume it and spend it, let's actually build it up as intelligently as possible. It took me 5 years to become financially free investing in real estate, and I love helping people get on that exact same.
He should explain how he did that, right? Just show. Yeah. In fact, when you get in my webinar, by the way, I show you how I made my first million in the 80s. By the time I was 27, 28 years old, I'd already made my first million. And I show you the assets that I bought that actually made that first million. These are the things that fake gurus can't do, because what they don't want to show you is, well, I used other people's money. I mean, if you really could take a lesson from somebody like Grant Cardone and Kris Krohn, it would be in talking people into investing with you and then buying property at retail and then just let the market go up. I mean, in my opinion, that's what I think. But I'm going to take you to the whiteboard.
So if you click the link below, you're going to get details on how to invest in real estate. And if you have money sitting in a 401k or IRA and you're like, man, Kris, I don't.
See, he smells that money. He's looking for your savings. He's looking for the equity in your home.
I think that's going to be enough for retirement. In fact, nowhere near enough. Or I've got money in savings or equity in a home. This is the perfect time to recapture those resources, redeploy them in something, because while real estate is not very affordable for the consumer, you can literally make money hands over fist as an investor.
Okay, so look, what I'm going to tell you right now, if you do have money in the bank, that is a great thing, good for you. But you don't need to take a huge portion of your money. I would just take a little percentage of it, and I would invest it in getting some knowledge, and that's what I bring to you. So here's the deal with fake gurus, and these are the things you should look out for. A, they don't mentor. If they don't personally mentor, how are they going to teach you anything? If they have the expertise to mentor, that's what they would be demonstrating, is what they can do. A fake guru also usually doesn't have students, or a fake guru will have students mentor for them. In other words, they get a handful of people that maybe know more than they do, and then they have them take their place as the mentor, which of course is not ideal. A fake guru is going to have salesmen, right? They're going to have salesmen, and the problem with that is this. A salesman will say anything to sell sometime. I'll tell you what, I had a group approach me, and they told me they'd get me $20,000, $30,000 per student. But they wanted 40%. They go, we'll get you $20,000, $30,000. We take 40%. Now, what do you think my concerns are? My concerns are they're going to misrepresent the product. They're not going to vet the people. They're going to tell the people, oh yeah, you can do it, even if maybe they can't. They're going to have them pull the money out of their home, or maybe something that I personally wouldn't do. In other words, they'll do anything to sell. And that's a problem with referrals, when fake gurus pay referral fees, and when they basically have salesmen making 30, 40% commissions on a sale. So imagine that you spend whatever, $5,000, $10,000, and you know that $3,000 to $3,000 or $4,000 of that is going into the salesman's pocket. In other words, it gives you an idea of what's going on, and that's the problem. They'll overpromise and underdeliver. So paid referrals, watch out for that. A salesman is just selling a course, right? You have to have experienced mentor. If you don't think so, people think, oh, you can find everything on the internet. Well, you can, but what you can't find is experience and somebody that has your back when you're in a position like, you know what, they're ready to sign the contract, but they asked me this. You're naked, you don't know what to do. But if you have somebody to call that's got your back, And that's what I do. That's what I do for my students. And I got the most successful students on the internet. I invite comparison. And that's the other thing. A fake guru will not invite comparison. I invite you to you can look at my record of success, the properties. I walk you through tens of millions of dollars of property. A fake guru won't do that. I have great students that have made a lot of money. I point to my students as a good example. Fake gurus, that they talk in vague, very vague terms. So, like, in other words, this is kind of fake guru talk, okay? Their talking points are, I made 500 deals, but then there's no real qualifying or details. In other words, yeah, I made 500 deals. Well, were they bad deals? Did you make $1 on each deal, or did you make $1 million on each deal? Believe me, if they made any money on 500 deals, they would tell you very quickly how much they made on each and every deal, and establish that they're experts by showing that they've made millions. That's something I do. Of course, I didn't have to do 500 deals to get rich. I did far less. Even Ben Mala. Ben Mala, I tell you, I think he did, I can't remember if he did 67 deals or maybe it was 120 deals or something. And he's got 350 to 500 million. Again, no proof. So if a fake guru, ask for proof. If they say they made deals, ask for proof of those deals. Say, show me the profit. They should be able to show you a tax return if they want to, or they could show you a HUD statement that shows the money that they made. So a lack of proof, a lack of testimonials, and a lack of details. You should be able to have documented success. If you can't have documented success or show the properties that you've done, chances are you're talking to a con man. So I'll leave it at that for now. And anyways, I appreciate you guys coming in. And let me know if you enjoyed this format. And if you want to do some more, you tell me and we'll do some more. Got a couple questions here I'll get to right now. Are prices going down? Yeah, prices are definitely going down. When interest rates go up, values go down. Listen, people don't, when somebody, this is the general public. I say the masses are the asses. Pretty harsh language, I know, but it's true. Let's get something better to look at here. Anyways, say people don't think properly about money as being a tool. And so, when somebody says, how much can you afford? Most people go, oh, I can afford not, $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000. They'll say, well, $1,900 a month or $2,000 a month. In other words, the general public is kind of wired for how much a month, okay? And so you got to lose that. You got to think about just the money. You got to think about it in terms of whether you can cover the payment, of course. But when I look for a deal, I'm looking strictly at what's it worth and what do I have to pay for it. And if I try not to pay more than 70% of value. In other words, if it's worth 200, I'm not going to pay more than 140. If it's worth 300, I'm not going to pay more than 210. And like the property I just bought, it's according to Redfin and Zillow, it's worth $450. Of course, they don't know how messed up it is inside. It is messed up inside, but I know what I can, the difference I need to spend to fix it up. And so for me, it's simple. Even Zillow and Redfin on that home, they're probably wrong. It's probably worth $425 max. They got it up to $450. Even if it was in great shape, it'd be worth maybe $425 because the interest rate's gone up. And that's the problem. Interest rates go up, the prices go down because the price, the payment to purchase it just becomes. I just said to somebody today, 400 is the new 600,000. In other words, what you used to pay for 600,000 is what you now pay for 400,000. What else you got? What other questions? Hi, Tom. When will interest rates drop? Okay, so let me just tell you, when I started in real estate, interest rates were coming down from 16%. In fact, I'll show you a book here. This little booklet right here, this is the first $1 million I made, basically documented. And this is from like 1981 to 1990, right? But the last property I sold in this book, I sold in 1989, December or November of 1989. It went into escrow, and it closed in 1990. And I made $380,000 in that property. And $295,000 of that was in a note, where I got paid $24.50 a month, which was a 10% interest on that amount. If you calculate, that's what will come out. It was interest only. They're not going to drop anytime soon, okay? And I normally won't make a prediction like this. I just won't do it. But I am very certain. That's how certain I am. Somebody that, for me, what I normally tell people is thing I know for sure is that I don't know for sure. But I am sure the interest rate is going to be high, what you consider high. It's not high to me because I've started higher. But it's going to be like this for a long time. I wouldn't expect, in fact, if you can get any private money borrowed long term for at 6%, I would take it if you can. Just get it. If you can get somebody, if you can borrow money at that rate, go get it. The last two lines of credit I got were at 3.5, I think 3.75. The other one was 4.5, and then the last one I got was 7%. I think 7 or 7.5%. Now, this is a revolving line of credit. I haven't put a penny on it, but I just like to have money accessible if I need it. And so right now, I have very little debt. That's the thing. If you can be in a position to have very little debt, then that's a privileged place to be. I don't need cash. I just need to have access to cash. And with heavy equity, I have access to cash. You don't feel like it's not the time to buy a house. You got to open your mind up. There's opportunities of all kinds out there. And, besides the deal I just bought, let me just give you a rundown here in the last 6 months. One of my students bought a property he figures he's going to make at least $1 million on. And I'll just give you some context to that. He paid $350, he put $80, he owes he's got a total of $430,000 invested. He's got it rented. He's getting $14,000 a month. $14,000 a month. That is a very, very heavy return on such a small amount of money. If that was a house, he'd probably be getting $3,200 a month. But this is a commercial flex space, and I teach you about these kinds of things. In fact, let me see if I can show you something here, just give you an idea. Okay, yeah, in fact, so behind me, by the way, every time this picture changes, I made over $1.5 million on that property you see behind me. I've been doing this for so long. That's an apartment building. I bought it for $130,000. I sold it for like $650. I bought that other building, this one here, I bought for $210, and I sold it for about $850. That building there, I built that building back in 2000. Again, that's a property that I have less than 800-900 in. That's a 20,000 square foot building. I still own that one. I actually own the building next to that as well. These are the kinds of assets that you want to buy. That's actually a school that I still own. I get about $72,000 a year income just from that one property. Some of the others you've seen, hundreds of thousands per year. That's a building I paid $1.05 million cash for. I make about $144,000 a year on that one. These are the kinds of things that fake gurus can't do, is they can't show. I still own that. That's a retail center right there above my head. That's one I still own today. And these are the kind of assets that I teach my students to buy. And but before you get here, that's another property I still own, by the way. But anyway, every time a property comes up behind me, it's one that I personally negotiated. I still own that one too. That's another 20,000 square foot building. In fact, I got to turn this off because it's distracting me. Because everyone's a story. Every time I see a property pop up like that, there's a story behind it. I can tell you a story, some fantastic stories. Some were quick deals, some were long, drawn-out deals. But these are the kinds of things that you just don't forget when you personally negotiated the deal. You remember all that stuff. So hey, if you would, please, I know I've asked you already, but please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Helps the channel. Hit that subscribe. If you comment too, if you comment under the video, it helps the algorithm. I probably and one of the probably the lowest numbers as far as subscribers go, but I guarantee I got the best information and I got the absolute best students that you'll ever see. If you get a chance, if you go to my website, FlipAnythingUSA, just take a look at the students. It's very impressive. In fact, this gentleman here that just popped up, he quit his job at the church. He's already made 3 times this year. In 7 months, he's made 3 times what the church would have normally paid him to work for a year. But now he's doing stuff. He's been to the Ukraine 3 times, volunteering. He's volunteering for the church. What he used to get paid to do for the church, he's now volunteering and doing for free. And so it's real. I would never mislead you. It is 100% real. All these are fantastic success stories. I urge you to watch them, and I got more to post. I just haven't had the time because I am an investor. So Anthony Russell wrote, "Hey Tom, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you." Eddie Razov wrote, "Hey Tom, on average, the properties you've bought, do you hold or flip? How do you determine to hold or sell?" That's a good question. That's a really good question. So here's the deal. Here's some of the complexities that happen. Even on this little property that I just bought with my son, but we'll start with that one. You buy a property, we're going to make $100,000 on this house, probably a little bit more, but we're going to make $100,000. Well, we're going to get taxed on that. The capital gains on that, if we sell it right now, immediately they're going to be 40%, something like that. If we hold it a year, they'll drop to about, I think, 20, either 19 or 24%, I can't remember. So significantly less. So these are the things that play in a decent market. If the market's going up, I might say, you know what, we got our margin, I'm going to watch the market. If the market looks like it's heading down, I'm just going to sell it right now. Now, a 1031 exchange, and I've done a couple of videos on 1031 exchanges. That's where you take the money that you make on that property and you roll it into buying something else. You don't touch the funds, but the funds roll over through a thing. You have an accommodator. I've done many 1031s. I've even done reverse 1031s, which I'm not going to get into now, but be sure to check that out. Look that up. Reverse 1031s on my channel. I explain it pretty well in there. But again, do I hold properties? Listen, when you first begin, you need money. You can't hold. You buy, you sell, you make that money, and then you buy something again, and then you keep doing it, because let's just say you take 10 grand and you turn it into, now you buy something and you got 40,000 equity because you bought it right and you got a good deal. We got 40,000 equity. Now maybe that property gives you a 25% return. Well, the thing is you don't have any cash. So you have to think about, do I want to get a 25% return on the $40,000 equity? Or just do a little thinking. You took 10 grand and you made 30. That's why you have that 40 equity. So you made 300% on your 10 grand. So it makes sense to sell that asset and now do whatever you did, do it again, and maybe you can turn 40 grand, into 120. That's the key. In the beginning, that's why I say flip anything. You flip in the beginning till you have enough cash that you can put some of it into an asset that gives you rental income, and then you just live on that rental income, and then you still got to have that cash. You got to your seed capital. You got to have cash for flipping. I probably, on average, I've got about 185,000 square feet of rentals. Those are commercial, industrial, some of the stuff that you just saw. Those are my bread and butter, okay? Now, give you an example. If I'm going to sell something, what motivates me to sell something? A better deal. And I'll give you an example. I'll go to Google Earth here for a second. Let's go to Google Earth. I'm really getting detailed on here more than I thought. So let's go to Google Earth. Hey, keep those questions coming, would you? It makes me feel like I'm not wasting my time up here. But it is a good question. I want you guys to get the benefit of this. So, let me look. Okay, so this is a property I sold a few years ago. Time flies so quick. This is an industrial property right here. This is a property that I bought. I stole this property when I bought it. I bought this like 15 years ago, something like that. I paid $240,000. When I bought it, it was probably worth $800,000, $900,000 at the time. Now, it's gone up. I cleaned it up, but it's always made between 60 and 90,000 a year roughly. There's a loading dock, there's a machine shop, there's all kinds of business and administrative. This is a great location. This is why it's got a freeway here. Now, why is this a great location? You can't see it from the street. That doesn't matter. People come in here, come down, park in the parking lot, go to work. They can come from all directions from these different freeways and get to work. That's a key thing, is location. Location, say location, location, location. It's true. It's the most important thing. But sometimes that doesn't mean visible from the street. It just means where it's physically located. We're in the day of the internet now too. Anybody, hotel can be out of sight. People find it through, hotels.com and that sort of thing. But the point is, let me get to this, and then I'm going to go to you, Anthony. But real quick, why would I sell this asset? I paid $240. It's worth $1,725,000 because that's what I sold it for. I sold it for $1,725,000, so I made about $1,500,000 on it, plus years and years of income. Well, I sold it to buy something much better, or something else that was worth more. So yeah. So what did I do with that money? I bought this property for $2.8 million. And I feel it's worth considerably more than what I paid for it. Now, I have considerably more income coming in because, see, it's like a snowball. As it goes down, it gathers momentum. Now, that really simplifies it, a little simpler than it is. But the bottom line is, the reason I would flip it or sell it, to the question was, why would I, what is the thinking behind flipping or holding? I'll hold an asset that gives me a nice income. But even then, it has a limited shelf life, because at some point, I'm better off taking that cash. Sometimes, if something comes up like this did, I take that $1,700,000 and I buy something that costs $1 million more. And why would I do that? Well, because the asset that I buy, I believe, is worth $4 million. So these are the kinds of things that come into play. So anyhow, Anthony wrote, Tom, how much is flex space renting for per foot in your market? Right now, anywhere from it's up to it depending on exactly where it's located. Anywhere from, I would say, $1 to $1.50. $1 to $1.50. That's like for those of you watching, a flex space is kind of like an insulated warehouse. It's something that could be used as an office, maybe kind of a rough office, but at the same time, it's climate controlled, and you could manufacture in there. People could work in there and make stuff. That's what I would call it. Okay, Eddie, you like that explanation? I'm glad, buddy. That's one of the things I'll tell you. When a fake guru talks, they're usually there's a lot of questions. They leave you with more questions. Like, well, wait a minute. How do you know you can do that? It's easy to do that. Instead of pointing to articles and stuff, how about you reference specifics? Show specifics. That's what they don't do. But thanks, Anthony. I appreciate you being here, by the way. Are we going into a crash worse than 2008? Listen, it's going to be really different. Let me tell you what happened. In 2008, 2009, interest rates dropped just like that. I just borrowed $3 million at that time at 5.5%. And all of a sudden, boom, 6 months later with the crash, my interest rates went down to 2.5. So I saved 3% on just that $3 million. I had other debts too, but that one I remember because I just got it. All of a sudden, my 5.5% interest went down to 2.5, saved me $90,000 a year interest. Now, did I have other things hurting, other tenants? Did I have other things going wrong? That $90,000 made up for the other problems that were happening elsewhere, and so did on other things. So. But the answer I would say is, when you say worse, it's different. It's different. The interest rates are high, and we're going into a crash. In 2008, the interest rates were decent, were okay, and we went into a crash, and then the interest rates dropped just so significantly that it was no longer a recession for me. It was like, hey, this is great. Interest rates are, all that borrowed money is much cheaper now. Now it's different. Now that borrowed money is much, much more expensive. Nobody knows that better than Ben Malla. And I talk about that with my students. Ben Malla is actually a little bit younger than me. And Ben Malla started later than I did. And Ben Muller's a bit richer than I am. But you know what? He blew it. And I got a video called Ben Muller Blew It. And I like Ben. I've talked to Ben, and he's a nice man, and he's totally authentic, realistic. I would never call Ben a fake by any means. He's not a fake guru at all. Ben is the real deal. What you see is what you get. But the thing about Ben is, if he had my background, if he's been doing it as long as I have, he would have refinanced all those properties, because now he's really in a pickle, right? Because he's paying 4% more on about 150 million, or maybe 4.25% now, and maybe next Fed hike it'll be 4.5% on $150 million. You know, that's pushing $7 million interest a year. It's pretty horrible, and the big guys just get hit harder. Do you recommend investing out of state? No, I do not recommend investing out of state at all. At all. Yeah, listen, I own so much property near me. I could throw a rock and hit a property, and I could keep throwing that rock, and I could probably hit, just in this little area where I'm at right now, I could hit more than $15 million worth of property. Okay, then take a drive 5 miles down, I could do the same again. And everything, you want your assets near you. You know your neighborhood better than anybody. You can keep an eye on them. You know, one of the buildings I have, there were thieves casing it. They ended up getting on top of my roof. Look at I have a video about thieves casing my building. And the son of a bitches actually got it. They came back and they turned the power off, cut the conduit up on the roof, up like sausages, and pulled the copper out. They did about $50,000 worth of damage, and they took about $15,000 worth of copper. In fact, and it gets more desperate. But listen, there is no bad real estate. There's just bad deals. So it's always a good time to invest. You can make a horrific mistake in good times. You can make a horrific mistake in bad times. That's why you just have a good counselor, a guide. Listen, none of us would know how to read without a teacher, right? And what I have is a very specialized education, and I have proof of concept. My students make money. Yeah, Ben definitely admits he screwed up by not locking. Yeah, he did. He never experienced what I did. That's why. And if he had, he would have refied. He just could see it coming. So, hey, listen, I really enjoyed this time with you guys. Again, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're new to my channel, you don't want to miss my stuff. I promise you. I never mislead you. I've got the credibility. I've made lots of money, tens of millions, okay, be clear. And I show you those properties in detail. And I've got fantastic students that have made money. I got this book that's been a bestseller on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. I urge you to get a copy of that. And but I look forward to seeing you all again. Thanks. You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, FlipAnythingUSA.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face to face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button.